And here we are, guys, the second Digimon movie has arrived upon us. Digimon Adventure Tri, Movie 2, Determination. Now, I got to say, I was really excited to watch this one, because especially I loved the first one, and if you haven't seen that first review, then you know I'm a huge Digimon fan. Back in the day, I had a huge passion for it, absolutely loved it. Like, just watching season 1, 2, especially 3. 3 is my favorite out of all of them. And I kind of like jumped off the roundabout, I'd like to say, after maybe I saw like a bit of Data Squad, kind of fell off that a bit, and then didn't, you know, kind of watch Fusion. But recently I actually reignited the hype when I actually played through the Digimon Cyber Sleuth game, and if anyone hasn't played that yet, that is a fantastic game, and I'd highly recommend you pick that up now. Now let's get right into the review of this movie. Gotta say, I really did like from the start of this like part where we get to see that actually like they were just chilling around after everything that happened around with Alphamon. We do get to see that like the entire thing with like going on between like Matt and also as well with Tai, they still seem to be having that argument. Even that was kind of like it was like a side plot actually throughout this entire movie. It was like talking throughout and saying like, listen, you know, why did Omegamon break up during the whole fight between Alphamon? I need to know. And even throughout the entire thing of this, it was like, it seems like through all of it, Taichi just has a very hard time like kind of like admitting that he was wrong and kind of saying like he has some issues like with the whole thing between him and Matt, and that sounds like that's like their own little ongoing arc is going to be something that is going to be throughout probably all the movies until they can finally like resort themselves and actually get back into like the old Omegamon mode. However, what this movie primarily focused on a lot is honestly the two Digidestins known as Mimi and Joe. And I've got to say, Joe throughout the entirety of this, even from the first movie, I could not stand how he was being like, he just like wasn't doing anything, he was just focusing on his exams, he just didn't want to get like, he was busy with all this stuff. And then not to mention as well like what we saw with Mimi was hanging out with everyone, but she kind of like didn't really take people's like accounts and feelings into things. Like that was definitely like what was the big main thing about the two is like one, like that they didn't want to like be with anyone and kind of want to keep to himself, and like he was focusing on himself, whilst the other character was basically just going thinking like, oh, I'm bringing everyone into it, it's all fun, yeah, it's all fun games, when she's kind of being a little bit self-centered about herself. I gotta say, I did really like the little like combination that we did have of like May and also as well Mimi. I thought that friendship that was happening throughout the entire this, it was absolutely adorable, and the entire bit of like Dizzy still seems like he's got that huge crush on like Mimi, like seeing that, and like even as well when the teachers come around when they had that nice little like school like play like they had going on, and it's like they had that little cafe going on, and then he just sent the picture and he just absolutely bursted. Like that was absolutely hilarious. Not to mention another side part that was actually introduced is that we got to see the return of not just Ogamon, but we also got to see the return of Leomon as well, and I gotta say I absolutely loved that part in the original Digimon. It was great to see Leomon again, and from what we got to understand about the whole Digimon infection is that what happened before like the whole rift started opening is that the infection started happening first, and so they don't actually know what is going on between that. However, there have been some connections and a big reveal at the end of the movie, which we'll get into later on. But also as well, seeing that one of the main antagonists, especially for this movie, is that we got to see after all this time is Ken, or as I should say, the Digimon Emperor. Now, here's the thing about it, like when everyone saw him, they were really shocked about like, why is he doing it? Like, what's going on? And what more interesting is that the main real like villain Digimon of this movie is Imperial Dramon. And this is the thing, like, as we know, like, if people know about Season 2, the way how you make Imperial Dramon is that it was a combination of both XVmon and Stingmon. So the question is, like, what happened to Davis? We did see that from the start of the first movie. It was like, maybe they got taken out, but, like, how is he able to keep Imperial Dramon under command just like that? So there's a lot of questions going on. There's, like, Imperial Dramon infected as well. Like, is this the real Gen? Like, who knows? There's a ton of shit that we still don't know even from the start. And it was nice they had that little onsen trip. I thought that was obviously nice from the first one. It definitely built up more faster than what the first movie I got to say. Like, it was a lot more better paced than the first one. So I believe it took like the first and I'd like to say the second half of the second episode that really got it going throughout the Tri movie. It was a lot of setup from those first movie, and I got to say the second one really did able to balance itself a lot better with also pacing, with action, with character development. Although one of the biggest things I had to complain about in this movie was that it felt kind of rushed at the end. The big thing about this movie, one of the big things that I was going to show was finally we're going to see the megas of both Mimi and Joe. We finally got to see Vikemon and Rosemon. We finally got to see their mega evolutions, and it was like, I got to say, holy shit, that came out really rushed when like Joe kind of finally got out of his own ass after the whole like little fight that he was having throughout throughout the entire movie. When he finally came back and he like digivolved right into a Kakumon. then into Zudomon, straight into Vikemon. I was like, holy shit, it's like, they did an attack, then Digivolve, did another attack, Digivolve, and then did another attack, and then, like, you know, they went into Mega. I was like, holy shit, that's really quick. And the same thing kind of happened really with Mimi, although she was like, you got to see a lot more of Togemon throughout the movie, and then it just immediately goes to Lilymon, and then just straight into Rosemon. Now, I know a lot of people are kind of like a little bit disappointed with Rosemon because we saw Rosemon already in the Data Squad like series, which I'm like, I'm completely fine with that. I'm like, I know people like there's different kind of forms, and I don't really keep up to too much. So there's many different like forms and different types that you can go into, but I'm kind of honestly fine. I think Rosemon actually more suited like Mimi to have than like the main character from what we saw in Data Squad. And I gotta say, Vikemon, I absolutely love the design. I love the whole Arctic Blizzard thing where he like enshrouds it in ice. He throws the massive like spikes. Those, I really thought that was an awesome thing. And just honestly, I feel like he didn't redeem Joe in my eyes. Like a lot of this movie, I still really didn't like the character. I was kind of a little upset that he really upset like Gomamon throughout the entire movie. It's like Gomamon went throughout the entire movie being there supporting him, saying like, I'm here for you, man. Like, you know, even he know that he wasn't gonna fight, he's still out there, you know, getting food, like making sure he's cheering him up. And it was just like, even still, Joe was being a complete asshole, and even so, just abandoning his friends. But I'm glad he did come back in the end, and also as well, Mimi learning something. And I think those two had a really nice conversation when they were talking about each other, as they were literally polar opposites of each other. And the big reveal at the end, after like you see Leomon, Vikemon, Rosemon all trying to take out Imperiumon as they take over like Makomon. They like literally got kidnapped, and it was like they were the only ones that could go through. And from what we saw, as like seeing like Leomon getting infected as well with that Digimon virus, Makomon seemed to act sort of differently, like after you saw that the entire thing with Ken with as the Digimon Emperor, and then immediately fucking slashed through fucking Leomon. And I was like, holy shit, what the hell's going on? Like Leomon was taken off guard. He's like, what are you doing, Mako? Like, what are you doing like that? And absolutely, like, it literally destroys him. I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck's going on? And finding out that Makomon seems to be the cause of the virus in general. People actually noticed as well is that Digimon is like started changing well into black, so I'm wondering if there's like maybe like Makomon will actually like digivolve into two forms. I know Makomon is going to be in the next Digimon game, the Next Order, I believe, or Next World Order. I don't particularly know the game, but I know like Makomon's supposed to be in that game, so I'm really curious as well. And if people as well who are seeing Cyber Sleuths know exactly what that other Digimon that was going around, and that is Hackmon. And I gotta say, Hackmon was actually one of my favorites, actually, what we got to see in the game. I really do like Hackmon. He was a very interesting kind of character in his little side plot throughout the entire movie. So I really hope it's kind of going to be the same with Hackmon. I'm wondering, I'm not going to say anything too much about him, but that's exactly what he's known in the Cyber Sleuth game. So honestly, I thought it was really good. Like, this movie was honestly great from like what I saw of it. I think it had a lot of development. It definitely ended more on a cliffhanger, which I was kind of worried about, since this was kind of like a middle of the road movie. So I thought it was going to end somewhere like not like with a big shocking reveals, but it seems like where we're going with next like movie, it's seemingly going to be focusing a lot on TK and I believe Kairi, because the only stuff we've seen is that all we know is that it's going to be called Digimon Adventure tri Kokuhaku, which could translates into confession, and from what we know so far from the trailer of that is that it's going to be focusing on TK and Patamon. So it wouldn't be no surprise if Kairi gets involved as well, since they always seem to be having two of the Digidestins getting involved with this. So I'm kind of looking forward to this next movie. Honestly, I think the stars, honestly, what of the episode like was honestly Mimi, and I like to say May as well. Like, she really actually standed out in these movies. I really like kind of the development showing of them, and everyone I think got their time to shine. I'm still a little bit buggy about Joe in this movie, and I think the pacing at the end, it could have been, honestly, like, would have been a little bit better if they had maybe probably 10 minutes to spare, but they probably couldn't do that. And I guess that's the one thing with these movies, like, being changed into movies compared to, like, what it was originally going to be, a TV series. So it's like, oh, we could have had an entire episode focused on that. But honestly, if it means keeping the animation quality and it's all nicely butted into it, I actually don't mind this kind of approach. The only part of it that sucks is really, I guess, kind of time pacing. You have to kind of like rush things maybe at the end, and also as well that, you know, we have to wait a very long while to get the next part of it instead of waiting on a weekly basis to get this. How it feels though is definitely that it was probably supposed to be a 50 episode show. It definitely feels that's what they were probably going for, especially with this season. I can very much see that this was supposed to be right about 50 episodes from what we've seen so far, because I'm guessing right now this was probably about maybe like, I'd like to say like 20 episodes, like probably maybe jam-packed into it. Like, there was supposed to be like more monsters of the week from what we saw, maybe more attacks from Ogamon, because that kind of thing got kind of left behind midway in the movie, it's like, oh, Ogremon attacked, and like the whole military tried to use their weapons, and it didn't exactly work. It did damage, but it wasn't that, and just Leomon taking him later. I was like, oh, like, I guess I was just kind of bring back to a little bit, like people just like have the little fan, like, remembrance of, like, oh yeah, Ogremon and Leomon, they were cool. Although, one of the funniest scenes in the movie was definitely when, like, all of them wanted to go to the festival, and it was like Mekomon was there, and she was like begging Leomon, and Leomon fell in love with Mekomon. It was just like, that was the most hilarious thing to me in the movie. I had a really good chuckle with that. I was like, god damn it, that was such a blast. Honestly, like, I do think this movie is better than the first one. I definitely think, because I remember the first pacing of the movie, if anyone saw that live reaction I did back in the day, was definitely like the first episode. I was really trying to keep everyone interested. I know that a lot of people said that the first part of the movie was very questionable, like it was very slow paced compared to it. I think with each movie they can kind of take the feedback of fans to see what they feel about it, so I'm definitely looking forward to the third one once it comes out. There hasn't been a release date yet for when Crunchyroll is going to have it. I am looking forward to it, and I'm glad that we finally got the second part, and I'm looking forward to the more movies to come. Overall, for this movie review, I would definitely give this movie an 8 out of 10. I think this definitely had a huge cliffhanger at the end. Although there were some questionable things with Joe, I think a little bit of rushing around the end, but it definitely did give some great development for Mimi, like, which I definitely loved. May has some very interesting moments in there. Increasing the whole little plot between, like, Taichi and Matt, I definitely loved that. And there were just some nice other moments that everyone got to have, and I'm glad that, you know, we're focusing on them, and it seems like from what it's going to be on the next movie from the preview, it's going to be focusing a lot on TK and Patamon, so I'm kind of wondering if that's going to mean that's like Kairu's going to get involved as well, since they normally kind of are a pairing thing, and a little bit of romance in this like whole movie as well. Like definitely the whole like Dizzy and like kind of like Mimi thing was being shown on as well, and definitely showing that, you know, TK is a little bit of the playboy. Maybe, you know, he might be trying to work things out and all that with some couple of girls on that movie, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Overall, let me know what you think about the comment section down below. What did you think of the second movie in general? Personally, I thought it was really great. I think it was better than the first one. It was nice to see Leomon again, although I felt a little bit shitty what happened to him at the end, and the whole big reveal of like Mekomon as well being like the cause of everything, and seeing like what's going to be happening with that. I definitely left it on a cliffhanger, so I know a lot of those are going to be like, oh, I really want to play. But guys, if you haven't got enough Digimon content to keep yourself alive, don't forget you actually do have the latest game out right now, Digimon Cyber Sleuth. That is a great game. I only finished it like recently, and they've been adding free updates recently, so you can have like your Shine Greymon burst mode, Raymon burst mode. You've got a bunch of different modes that you can have, and trust me, you should really do that because it is absolutely a fantastic RPG. You can get it on the PS Vita and also as well on the PS4, and you can also buy it digitally as well on the PSN store, and I'd highly recommend it. I'm not being promoted to say this, but it's just generally I had a lot of fun playing with this game, and it's a great RPG, and I can't wait for the next one, and I hope they can't keep the same formula with that one. I've been Savagezweipanda, and thank you very much for watching. As always, if you enjoyed this movie review, then please leave a like down below, and also as well, I would greatly appreciate a subscribe as well. I'll see you guys though, and you Digimon Destins, next time.